Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a video review. And for this review, I'm going to be taking a look at Tokyo Mirage Session Fire Emblem Encore for the Nintendo Switch, a remaster or sort of an updated version of the game originally came out back in the Wii U. And if you're interested in any gameplay footage, I'll have a link down in the description. You could check it out, though. Back during the Wii U era, one of the games that was announced in the early parts of when the Wii U was officially announced was this collaboration between Aulx and Nintendo using basically the Shin Megami series and the Fire Emblem series, though. Now, during that time, that game was sort of in a bit of development hell and all that stuff, but eventually it came out, but mostly near the end of the Wii U's life cycle, though. And although it was a fun game, it didn't click with everybody. Not to mention, some people were weren't happy with Nintendo in terms of the fact that they didn't bring over the Japanese version, which had different costumes to DLC that unfortunately never saw the light of day over here. Fast forward to now that we're in the Switch era, where we've been seeing lately several games that were once on the Wii U starting to make their way over to the Nintendo Switch. We've seen games like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. We recently have, the announcement of The Wonderful 101, a remake or remastered version of the Wii U, originally a Wii U first-party game going on to multiple systems. We've had Bayonetta 1 and 2 come over as well. We've had New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, and games like Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze make their way over. Basically games that originally that probably were great, but probably didn't do as well because the Wii U wasn't doing exactly as well either. And now another game has sort of made its way over, and that is the Tokyo Mirage Session Fire Emblem Encore. And it's interesting that this game came over as well because it also kind of dug itself into another controversy, which I'll get myself into the content. And while it's not perfect, and I will admit it's kind of a niche title in a way, I will say it is a fun and enjoyable title. Nevertheless, even if there is one decision that Nintendo and Aulx made that I don't 100% agree with. So why don't we get started with the pros and the cons, and we'll start with our first part, which is the pros. And the first part I do want to talk about is the loading time. Now, one of the things that a lot of people complained about, and I kind of agree with them, is that in the original Wii U version, the loading time wasn't exactly great and everything like that. But in the Switch version, the good news is that the loading time is an improvement. After, when I start the game, boot it up, I can go straight into what I need to do and all that, and it just takes it doesn't take that long. It does kind of seem a little bit difference between night and day compared to how it was on the Wii U. So as far as the loading time goes, definitely an improvement over the Wii U version. The next thing I do want to talk about is the gameplay. And I will say the gameplay, even after playing it on the Switch and on the Wii U, though, the gameplay is still fun. It follows pretty much a traditional RPG with certainly some new elements. Part of it is also, the Mirage and all that stuff, where basically you have you could do certain moves that could do sessions which connects other players. Like, for example, if you have a fire spell, you can, and that shows the player's weakness and all that stuff. If you attack them, it might connect to another player who might also do some damage as well. So it's a really neat thing that they added in terms of the gameplay mechanics, although it's worth pointing out that your enemies can do that. And what's also interesting is that the gameplay mechanics kind of borrows somewhat from basically one of my favorite games one of many favorite games on the Nintendo Switch, Octopath Traveler. Really good game. I definitely recommend you guys take a look at that one. This one is that when you fight some of the enemies out here, they'll have certain question marks of terms of their strengths and weaknesses. Like, for example, if you hit an enemy with a sword, it might show that they are either weak with that, or they could resist, or they are resistant to that. But next time you take on that same enemy again, you'll now know for certain what weapon will work against them. Same with, say, magic. fire or ice and so forth. So it's a really neat idea. It's very similar to what Octopath Traveler did. So you kind of have to strategize a little bit though. So I will say the gameplay is fun and it's enjoyable gameplay though. And last but not least, as far as content goes, what's also great is that they added, like a new story. They added party members. You could switch to different party members and music and everything like that. While I haven't gotten that deep into the game or anything like that, it is nice that they added some new content to give it to, especially, add some new content, to bring in for a new audience and so forth. So I really liked how Aulx and basically Nintendo added some new stuff for the Switch version. I think that's a really good thing. Okay, we'll take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2, which is the cons. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our video review of Tokyo Mirage Session Fire Emblem Encore for the Nintendo Switch. So now that I gave you the pros, why don't we get started with the cons? And there are really 3 cons that I could think of in regards of Tokyo Mirage Session Fire Emblem Encore. We'll first start off with the gameplay or anything like that. Now, I don't hate the gameplay or anything like that. It's fun. It feels like, like a traditional JRPG with certain with a little bit of the Octopath Traveler part into it, as I mentioned in the pros. But if you're going into this expecting it to be with any Fire Emblem like gameplay though, you won't find that here in this game though. There are at least one part where it is kind of a little bit like Fire Emblem, and that's when your character levels up. You see sort of the screen that you normally would see when your character levels up in a traditional like Fire Emblem game and so forth. But other than that, I didn't really find anything else that's, Fire Emblem like or anything like that. So don't go in expecting a Fire Emblem like gameplay in Tokyo Mirage Session. Again, that's not a bad thing or anything like that. That might not appeal to everyone. The next thing I do want to talk about is the story. Now, the story in the game focuses a lot on the whole idol and J-pop thing. And the thing is, I'm not a huge fan of the story of the game. I don't think it's awful or terrible or anything like that. I mean, it's not bad or anything like that, but this just really comes down to my preference and my taste. And really, I'm not a big J-pop or big on the whole J-pop or idol thing. That just doesn't really click with me as much. Now, and there are those who like that, and that's perfectly fine. If you like that, that's okay. That's more good for you and all that stuff. It doesn't really click with me, so I'm not really a huge fan of the story. But like I said, I don't hate it. It just doesn't really click with me as much. And last but not least, and this one is sort of like in the controversial territory, and that is the fact that this is basically the Western version of the game, though. For those who are not familiar, before the game officially came out, it was announced that the Switch version of Tokyo Mirage Session would be based off the Western version, not the Japanese version. This didn't exactly sit well with everybody, particularly in Japan, who kind of felt like they were kind of misled on this. This prompted Nintendo in Japan to apologize, saying that they should have been more upfront on the fact that they were basing it off the Western version, not the Japanese version, and that they would offer a refund for those who pre-ordered the game in Japan, though. Now, honestly, I don't exactly hate the Western version or anything like that. I mean, there is still a little bit of fan service here and there, but I do understand the criticism towards the game, and I do think it was kind of stupid that for Aulx and Nintendo to go with the Western version. I would have preferred, the Japanese version, like the uncensored version and so forth. So I do think it is unfortunate. I do think it's a little bit ridiculous that they couldn't base it off the Japanese version. Does it ruin the game entirely? Not necessarily, but there are those who prefer to see the uncensored version. And it is a little bit unfortunate that Nintendo and Aulx decided to go with the Western version and not the Japanese version. Overall, I do like Tokyo Mirage Session Fire Emblem Encore, though. The loading time is an improvement over the original Wii U, and the gameplay is still fun and all that stuff. Follows like a traditional RPG to a certain extent, but also adds some different elements to it. The whole barrage and all that stuff is nice and so forth. And I do like the fact that they really did put some effort into, put some new party members, content, and so forth. The story, even after when the game originally came out on the Wii U, the story just doesn't click with me as much. As I mentioned earlier, it comes down to what your preference of taste is. I'm not big on the whole J-pop or idol thing and all that stuff. But it is a little unfortunate that it's based off the Western version and not the Japanese version. It would have been nice if they were able to bring the Japanese version over. I know there are people that would prefer the Japanese version over the Western version. Does that impact me playing the game or anything like that? Not really, but I can understand why some people would have preferred that version over this one, though. But I will say, I mean, it's a good game. I still enjoy it and all that stuff, but it also comes off as sort of a niche title since it doesn't have like that huge appeal out there. But still, if you're looking for more RPGs to play on the Nintendo Switch, then I would say consider taking a look at Tokyo Mirage Session Fire Emblem Encore, especially if you missed out on it when it came out to the Wii U. Just remember, though, this is the Western version and not the Japanese version. And who knows, maybe this will... with them bringing this over, maybe the next one they'll bring over, and personally, I think they should bring this over to the Nintendo Switch, is Xenoblade Chronicles X. I mean, yes, we're getting a remake of the first Xenoblade and all that stuff, but I'm hoping when that one's done, that somehow, somewhere, they could try to bring over Xenoblade Chronicles X. I would love to see that game come over to the Nintendo Switch, although I'm kind of torn between whether they should just fully port it or do the remake route like they're doing with the remake of the first Xenoblade Chronicles. But either way, going off track on that one, overall, I like Tokyo Mirage Session. It's a fun RPG, especially for those who are looking for more RPGs on their Nintendo Switch, though. It's just that basing it off the Western version may not sit well with everybody who rather prefer the Japanese version. Okay, this concludes my video review of Tokyo Mirage Session Fire Emblem Encore on the Nintendo Switch. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about Tokyo Mirage Session Fire Emblem Encore coming to the Nintendo Switch? Are you glad that Nintendo and Aulx brought this game over to the Switch? Do you think it will reach out to more people who may have missed out on it back then when it came out to the Wii U? Does the fact that it's based off the Western version, not the Japanese version, does that in any way impact your decision to pick the game up, or does it have basically no impact on that decision whatsoever? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off on the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You can do it through PayPal Me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!